Welcome back to the Samantha Show. I'm your host, Samantha. You can call me Sam. Just don't call me Sammy. I'm here back with my mom. I don't know if you knew this, Mom, but I think I'm at like 75, almost 80 podcast episodes. Man Overboard, which is the episode you were on, is in the top 10 most listened to episodes. Cool. And people still talk to me about it.
Wow.
They still ask me about it. Oh, I heard that about your mom. And so if you haven't seen that episode or listened to it, Man Overboard, it's about my mom kind of growing up, gypsy life, living in California, riding a sailboat throughout the Bahamas, meeting Paul McCartney and Linda, and babysitting Stella McCartney. Quite the story. So Man Overboard, you can go back and check out that episode. You're wild.
I know. I was.
Mom is here today. Look at her great shirt. Someone I love has T1D. I kind of knew you were going to wear that shirt. It is still National Diabetes Awareness Month. I actually have on my Level Life glucose sweatshirt here. Level Life has been really nice. I've partnered with them, and they send me a bunch of gels every month, and I've been working with them, and their gels have 15 grams of sugar in them. They bring your blood sugar up really fast. I think I had like 3 today. I've been dropping low a lot today, but really nice to have companies like Level Life making these glucose gels that kind of keep me going. So thanks, shout out to them for that. But Mom's here because we are talking about type 1 diabetes this month, and we got to hear from my friend Adriana last week. I shared a little bit about me on the first episode, but I thought it'd be fun, Mom, to talk about my experience through the lens of a parent and what that was like having a kid with type 1. And I think what's unique about our situation and your situation is you didn't have CGMs or anything to watch me. So once you send me off to school or you send me to a friend's house, what goes through your head? So I'm trying to think where to start here. I guess tell me what you remember about my diagnosis, that time of my life. What led you to look into it? Just walk me through that.
Don't you want 3 things?
Oh, did you bring 3 things? Yes, I do, but I didn't tell you to, so I didn't think you wanted to do that. I do want to do the 3 things you need to know, but I didn't set you up with that, but I forgot you're a longtime listener. So
every episode.
So we start with the 3 things that people know. Yes, I do. Mom, what's the first thing that people need to know?
Well, I'm not sure people need to know this, but it's sort of fun to know it. Do you know why we don't fall out of bed?
Why?
Well, there are a couple of reasons. As adults, we tend not to.
Yeah.
Children do.
Right.
But first of all, because we're we're more balanced, there's a lot more weight holding us down. But also, we learn over time, in our subconscious learns not to get ourselves into danger, and we have a body awareness even when we're in sleep.
Isn't that amazing?
It is. So the minute we start heading towards some territory that's unsafe, our body will automatically react and hold us onto the bed. I know.
That's
crazy.
It is. It is always amazing how our bodies are designed and react, and even like a cut and a heel, and like, just to your point, designed to keep us safe and to keep going.
Yeah. Okay.
Wow. Okay. Second thing that people need to know.
Okay. Again, everyone knows that half the time in the year it gets darker and half the time it gets lighter, but precisely it gets 1 to 3 minutes on the average darker or lighter every single day, depending on the time of the year.
Oh.
So let's just say on a Monday or a Sunday, if you look at the week ahead and you're headed toward winter solstice, which is December the 20th, it's going to be between 7 and 21 minutes darker on Saturday. It's a little more pronounced as you get near the solstices.
That can be really helpful when we are working in the other direction, or we know it's going to start to get lighter. You can do a little math, and like at least in a week from now, we're going to gain 15, 20 minutes of sunlight.
Actually, true.
Yeah.
And that's why I have always loved winter solstice, because to me, it's the turning point. And I know that every single day I'm going to get more and more sunlight.
I love that. Okay, I think that's
cool.
good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. What's the third thing that people need to know?
And this is really random, but a bug that flies into a Venus flytrap
Yeah.
has to touch two of its little prongs for it to shut. So there is an opportunity for the bug to get out if it has only touched, like, you see those little
Yeah,
prongs
yeah,
on the
yeah.
sides of them. It has to touch two of those, or it has to be inside for a certain amount of time, extra amount of time. So the minute it touches two, those leaves will clamp shut, and there is no way the bug can get out.
I feel like we could turn this into a life lesson. Like if you walk into a situation or you've made a mistake, you can turn around, but don't keep going in the mistakes. Don't keep doing multiple things. Don't sit in that mistake for too long. You can make the mistake, but then backtrack before you've been in the trap for too long.
Well, that's an interesting twist on it, but yeah, that works.
Okay, I'm so glad you brought the three things, because I thought about that and I was like, I didn't tell her. We'll just go into the conversation. But with that now, tell me about my diagnosis and what you remember from those early days.
Well, I remember the diagnosis really clearly. And in fact, I asked your dad today, what did he remember? And that's really the biggest part that we both remember was the diagnosis. You were 9 years old, and we were staying with your dad's mom for a while because we were building a house, and our house had sold quickly. I worked in healthcare. I'm not a clinician, but I had worked around enough of that kind of activity, and I really understood some of the things related to type 1 diabetes. And we did a lot of diabetes screenings. I worked with a group that went out and did diabetes screenings. And so we were screening people all the time for it. And we had cards that told all the symptoms and all that.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. So I just started some things. I noticed that you were losing weight primarily. You lost a lot of weight, and that's classic. Mm-hmm. You were going to the restroom a lot, mm-hmm. and you were drinking a lot. And those are just the top three classic symptoms of diabetes. And I knew in my heart, I remember a night when it was just pressing down on me, and I woke up in the middle of the night, and I went out and got onto the modem. This was 1987.
1997.
Or 97, yeah. I was afraid that it would wake up the whole house, the modems.
On the computer.
And I thought, well, I'll just check myself. And I looked up the symptoms, and I just kept checking the boxes. And I was like, and then, so I said something to your dad, and, it was hard for him to sort of take that in.
In true, dare I say, man fashion.
It's hard to think like that about your child. You don't want something to be wrong with them.
I notice that even with Joe and Gracie sometimes when I get concerned about things, he's so quick to write it off. And I can feel it's the energy of anxiety and worry. It's not the dismissal of a thought. It's hard. Sure. You don't want to believe that or anything, is wrong with your kid.
So when I told him what I thought was going on with you, and also, and I don't know if you want me to bring this up, but you had a yeast infection.
Sure, yeah.
As a child, little girl, and little girls get them.
Yeah,
that's that's not necessarily a type 1 situation, but it can be, right? Because the whole balance is off. Your whole body chemistry is off. Mm-hmm. So we had taken you to the doctor for that, and she, treated you and for that, mm-hmm. and so forth. And so about a week later, he was driving you to school, and you drank an entire quart of Gatorade on the way to school. Mm-hmm. And he said at that moment, he knew I was right, because that was not normal, and that was a lot of liquid for a little tiny body to consume. He dropped you off at school, and he called me, and he said, take her back to the doctor. We need to check this.
Yeah.
So I went back to the school right away, immediately, mm-hmm. and I said, we're just going to go back and get a recheck on the, this.
I remember getting called out of the classroom, but not knowing why, and thinking you were taking me out to go shopping. Little did I know I was like, sweet. Mom took me out for a personal day. We're going to go shopping.
Like I did that a lot.
I don't think you ever did. But I don't know why. But I was like, I don't know why she's here. Okay, fun. What a nice surprise. Surprise.
Big surprise.
All right, sorry. So we take out, we go to the doctor. This is coming back to me now too. I remember a lot of this.
So we went into the doctor and I pulled them aside and I said, look, do a urine test for diabetes because that's the first line. And it will show ketones if there's diabetes. And then so he said, well, we'll do the urine test, then we'll come back. And if it's positive, we'll do a finger prick and test for, what the blood glucose level is. So when he walked back in and asked for a finger prick, I just lost it.
I don't remember. Okay. And I don't remember. I don't like remember the act of finger pricking. I remember you getting upset. I'm sure I got upset from just the situation. What do you remember what my blood sugar was?
Around 340.
That's right.
Something like that. I mean, it wasn't terrible.
Right. And some people, when they get diagnosed with type 1, they're 800,
Right.
they're thousands, they're in diabetic ketoacidosis. I mean, you really caught early. I do remember you saying through tears, like Stacy from the Babysitters Club. Like Stacy from the Babysitters Club. I'm like, what?
I know. I was trying to comfort. I was trying to make you understand a little bit, and I kept saying I wanted to sort of. I don't know. You're just beside yourself. It was all I could do to. I couldn't. So they told us right then and there, just go straight to the hospital. We didn't even go to the emergency department. They just admitted you immediately. And like I said, we were really lucky because most kids end up in the ICU.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't even like puking. Some kids end up puking.
You didn't even
sick,
feel bad.
To the doctor, sent home with the flu, all this stuff until they get like deathly. I mean, like I said, I thought you were taking me shopping because I felt fine. What do you mean it's not normal to drink a whole Gatorade on the way to school in the morning?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So sorry. So we go to the hospital.
So we went. We actually went home and packed a bag and packed a few things. And I called your dad and told him to meet us at Children's. And so we went to Children's in Dayton, and you were admitted. And we were there for I don't know, maybe 3 days.
Yeah.
And really, we were only there to get you stabilized on insulin and to go through training on how to give shots and stuff. But I cannot even begin to tell you. We went through all those motions, but I was traumatized the entire time. And in fact, later I found a diary that I had kept, and it was like, this is day 19 and I'm still crying. This just can't be right. Oh. So, I think having come from healthcare, I knew what we were going to be up against. I knew it, and I knew enough to just be sick about it.
Yeah. I think you're not alone in those tears. I mean, I ran into someone a couple weeks ago, and he had just had his daughter was just diagnosed several months ago, and he's talking to me and he just starts crying and he's like, I'm sorry. I'm like, you don't have to apologize. Like, this is a lot, So yeah, I don't remember crying much after we got home. Do you was I emotionally much about it?
No, you were never. It wasn't denial, but it was just like, I think from the very beginning, you just said, this is just not going to change my life, period. Yeah. And you just were not, whether you didn't know what was ahead of you. And I mean, even when we came home and I started to give you a shot and I'm like trembling and you're like, just give me, you're 9. Just give me that, which says more about your personality than anything ever.
Did you hear Adriana talking on her episode where she said she watched her dad practice on the orange with his hand shaking and she said, absolutely not.
Right. I did. I thought that was funny. Well, yeah. And your dad, he didn't want to do it.
Yeah.
But yeah, from that time on, you gave yourself your own shots. I always watched you dose.
And I know
draw
you
it
always
up.
checked it. I remember that. I think I remember giving myself that first shot. Were we still at Nana's
Yeah,
house?
yeah.
We were. I
Yeah.
remember sitting on that chair, and I think I remember sitting there with you and being like, I think I want to just do it myself.
Right.
Yeah.
First, I want to go back to the parent experience.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I don't even know if I've ever told you this, but this was weeks into it. And I just had to get out of the house. So I just drove. And I find myself at a gas station. And I'm just sitting there sobbing. And I can't stop crying. Did I ever tell you this?
No.
And I just can't stop crying. So I called the employee
Oh, maybe you did.
assistance people at the hospital, crisis people at the hospital. And they said, please immediately go over to the emergency department and talk to somebody.
Yeah.
Which I went over to, was Sycamore at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And they were just wonderful. They just talked to me and they said I could get some kind of pills or something, but I didn't get them.
Yeah.
It was just having someone, you're sitting there. I remember thinking, is my kid going to die? Am I, you
Sure.
think that. Sure. Every time I hear a story about a new parent, I get this sick knot in my stomach because I know what they're going through, But anyway, so, and where were we headed before that? You were back.
I think just adjusting. I mean, that coming home and me taking on shots and things like that.
The biggest thing was meals. Oh my gosh. Just counting carbs, learning how to count carbs, and then the dosing equations, which again, immediately you mastered.
Because we and Adriana and I talked about this. We were taking regular and NPH,
Right.
and that you know if you've had type 1 for a longer period of time, but I don't think even newly diagnosed would understand that. But you had to do a lot of pre-calculating throughout the day too. Like it wasn't just per meal, like multiple daily injections. You had to kind of know what you were going to eat the whole day.
All day. Everything had to be completely planned out. And it wasn't that it was restrictive or anything, but you just had to know exactly. And if you ate more, that was going to throw it off. If you didn't eat it all, I remember her talking about hiding
Her breakfast.
and not eating it. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, if I'd have seen that, something like that, I would have just died. I would have, rushed to get you and start stuffing food, which I guess is what happened.
Yeah, basically. Yeah.
But anyway, so everything, the food was just, kind of traumatic. I even wrote a poem about it, a grape falling off the table and having to be washed and recounted.
Yeah.
So about that experience. So, but the food was the big deal.
So it's obviously like a lot for a parent to take in. And now me being a parent, right? Like I worry about Gracie, this, that, and the other all the time. So it's just a totally different experience. Was there any point in time, and I don't think you ever stopped worrying about your kid, but when would you say that you started to say, or felt more like this is our norm, we're going to be okay? When I call you 2 days ago, Mom, I'm low. Will you talk to me?
Have we gotten it?
That's fair. That's fair. Are you still crying yourself to sleep at night? It's probably not for the diabetes anymore. Probably the other things I got going on, but
Maybe that 20th day when I finally stopped crying, I don't know if and I didn't cry all day. It would just find myself
you just
throughout the day.
have moments.
But I think when you finally, you feel, you do get moments where you feel like, okay, we've got this. We've got this rhythm going. And then, and then a year goes by and another year, and you never stop worrying. Sure. Never, never, never. And, you were talking about the CGMs, and honestly, I got to say, thank God I didn't have a CGM to watch all day, because
especially while I was in college.
For sure. I know that they're a real safeguard, especially for very small children, but I'm just obsessive compulsive enough that I would have just been watching it all day long.
I've talked to parents and it's interesting, and I'm curious long term how this impacts children growing up with diabetes, in the sense that I've heard when your mom and dad can manage your diabetes even from afar 24/7, you are never empowered to fully take care of yourself, and you have to do that. And I remember a while, several years ago, talking to someone who their daughter lived with them, had type 1, and because they had the CGM, when she would go low in the middle of the night, they could go in and like give her a juice or gel while she's kind of sleeping, and by the time she got to high school and getting ready to go to college, she had no low awareness, and or she would hear her alarm but she wouldn't get up because she was so programmed that mom was going to bring her something. And they had realized that had kind of backfired on them. And how do you tell a parent to manage this? You can't give them a right or wrong. Everybody's going to do it their way and it'll be just fine. It'll be perfect. But I do think that there was a lot that I had to go take and learn on my own that maybe arguably has made me feel more empowered to travel. I do travel. I travel for work alone all the time and stuff like that, and feel comfortable and feel safe enough to do that.
Well, I always thought from very early on, you were sort of an obsessive tester.
Yeah, I know. They told me that when I was pregnant with Grayson, and my doctor was like, "You don't need to test 16 times a day." I was like, "Yes, I do." She's like, "Please don't."
Yeah. And, and that somewhat worked in your favor, and that helped me because I knew that you were watching and you were taking care of yourself, because, I know of young people who don't pay attention and have gotten into trouble, and so if we were going to err on any side, we were going to overtest.
Yeah.
And I think that helped me a lot. But I agree with you. I have always said, I feel like having diabetes at such a young age, or having type 1 diabetes at such a young age, you became totally so much more responsible. You became a more responsible person in terms of taking care of yourself and in terms of your own health and well-being. Everybody's experience is different, but I think that, and then that helps me know that you're taking good care of yourself, because I know parents whose kids are not taking good care of and haven't taken good care of themselves. That's a real problem.
Yeah. Or trying. I'm trying. Sometimes I'm like, God, today I ran myself low so many times because I felt like I've been running high. It's like it never ends. I think that's the thing. That's the hard thing too. And I wish, when I talk to newly diagnosed parents and things like that, I wish I could say, you're going to find your rhythm and it'll be fine and you'll get it figured out. But as soon as you find your rhythm at this stage in life, you enter the next stage of life. And, I'm getting ready, not probably, hopefully not in the like super near future, but like my next big stage is going to be menopause, right? Which is going to be a whole another thing. So yeah. And each stage is different and you're constantly learning and adjusting, and it's ongoing. But
I had a person that I used to work with, and I ran into him. He no longer worked where I worked. And I ran into him, and he was serving on the board of the American Kidney Foundation, or, in Dayton, the Dayton chapter. And we were talking about, kidney disease is very common, an outcome, or used to be more so than it is now, but it still is to some extent. But he said, Grace, the people who do the best manage their own care. Mm-hmm. And so from that point on, I always said, nobody is going to be a better case manager for yourself as you are, for you as you are. And so I felt like, and I tried to instill on you, take responsibility for this. If you would say, so-and-so doctor wants to change my dose, but I just don't think, I know we have those times. I don't feel like that's right. And I would just say, do what you feel is right then. Yeah. You need to take, within limits.
Sure.
You need to, if you feel responsible enough, you need to take responsibility for managing your own care and advocating for yourself.
Yeah, in all regards too, I think, right? Like not even just type 1 diabetes, but
All the time.
All the time. Like with
Yeah.
everything in life, whatever you have going on, if something doesn't feel right or if you don't like the answer the doctor's giving you, like we as humans should feel empowered to get a second opinion or to, just dig into things however we need to feel like we are healthy and well and have the answers that we need.
Yeah, I mean, I feel fortunate that I worked in healthcare industry for 30 years, so I know the language, I knew the people, I knew what doctors are, I knew doctors, I knew nurses. So I felt like, I had the language and I feel like I feel sorry for people who don't, and they don't know what they don't know, and they don't know what they're not. And I think, even as parents with newly diagnosed children, you really have to become the advocate for that child and the spokesperson for that child, and question. It's not a problem to question what the doctor is telling you, or why are we doing this? Tell me again. Yeah. What can I expect from this?
Yeah, I think that's such a great tip, a really helpful tip, especially to your point for newly diagnosed parents. I remember talking to a parent one time and I said, "Did you get a CGM?" And they're like, "No, they told us we should wait like a month or two to get that." Yeah. I was like, "Why?" Yeah. And they're like, "I don't know. They just said, we're going to start with like testing, like using the tester and like doing some shots and stuff." And I was like, the CGM is not medication. It's going to keep your eyes on the situation at all time. I'm like, go back.
Yeah. I mean, maybe they were thinking they would be overwhelmed by all the technology and stuff, because it is a lot.
It is a lot.
Especially now with the technology. It's an awful lot.
But I don't know. A CGM, man,
talk about that point at which you become comfortable.
Yeah.
I think getting a CGM, which wasn't that many years ago.
No, I mean, I think I got it when I was in my apartment with Joe.
That could be right.
Which is crazy. I mean, it's crazy that I survived Florida. Like time in Florida, no comment. I mean, I was fine. I wasn't tame. I wasn't drinking that much or anything. But it's I don't think I had that CGM. So really, like 12 years, which is not that long.
No.
Yeah,
but that's a game. That was a game changer. That was a game changer. I think.
And for people who don't know, a CGM is a continuous glucose monitor, and it allows you to watch your blood sugars at all time. So instead of having to prick your finger to see where you're at, it's either going to show up on your phone or on your insulin pump to tell you where your blood sugar is, which is really helpful because then you know if you're going low, you're going high, and you can catch it or treat it before you get into a dangerous situation. Just want to make sure in case you know that. But yeah,
and that was a game changer for me, even with you. I mean, you still have the lumps and bumps,
absolutely,
but just to have that comfort of knowing that alarm is going to go off if you go low or if you're too high, or
Yeah, and it's amazing too. Like even now, when I remember when I first got it, it just read to my insulin pump, but now the CGMs go to cell phones, which also go to watches, which can go to other people like Mom and Joe. Now I actually had to I took the Dexcom app completely off my phone because I was reaching notification fatigue, where if I was high or low, my pump would go off, my phone would go off, the Tandem app would go off, and it would stress me out. Not only just turning all the notifications off, but I have found, which would be a whole different episode, that the noises trigger me almost like a PTSD, and I feel anxiety the minute I hear it, whereas like the vibration on the pump or me just noticing the symptoms is less panic driven for me versus the sounds on the phone are very, very triggering for me, I've realized. So I don't have that, but it is still like such a great tool. And it is amazing how much the technology has changed. And I don't know if Dad told you, but I called him the other day because I'm going to get a new Tandem insulin pump, and it's going to be this big.
Wow. Well, I heard that call.
Yeah, just a little bit bigger than a quarter.
Wow.
And we'll still work with my Dexcom, and they have little pockets so that you can tape it. So if I want to tape it here, even though it's plugged into my stomach, so I can wear dresses, anything, I don't have to do anything with it. So really, like, the technology has been like kabam.
Yeah, it's nice. And I was just that that sort of reminded me of the time I sewed a little sock.
Classic. That tore up the internet before going viral on the internet was even a thing. Tell me more about the sock situation.
Well, you had some gown on, and your pump was always visible, and you didn't want the pump to be visible in high school, and so we sewed a little baby sock
genius, folks. She's a genius.
into a pair of
like biker shorts.
yeah,
like
bike
little
shorts, sort
spandex
of.
shorts.
Yeah, little exercise pants. Sewed the little sock on there, and you just stuck the pump down in your in that pocket, and it just sat there.
You should have patented that and then sold them. Because like Adriana and I were talking, like it's sad, but I'm making light of it to be less sad. How many people have type 1 diabetes, and how quickly the technology is changing, but how quickly people are getting diagnosed every single day. It's like it was so we only knew
one person
when I got diagnosed.
I called the school, and this blows my mind that in a whole school system, they found one person. I said, please, can you let me know if there's one person? And they said, well, we'll talk to them and see if they will talk to. And she was several years older than you. And
Carrie Dakin, she still comes to my cycle. We're still very connected.
Oh, good.
Yep.
Yeah. And so she kind of got in touch with you. And that even gave me a sense of comfort, because this is a person who had had it for several years. And, that was the thing. It was a vacuum. We were living in a vacuum. There were no support groups.
Yep.
You got no help from the doctors.
Yep.
None.
Yep.
You got nothing.
That was Adriana's point. Yep.
You got nothing from anybody. There was very little training. You didn't even have a lot. There was nothing online that you could reference.
Yeah.
You were just so alone in this whole experience, and it was hard. It was very, very hard, because you were figuring out things by yourself as you went along.
Yeah, I can't even imagine that time and being so alone in that, because that was really the conclusion of my last episode, was that community is what you need.
It's huge, huge. You have to not feel so alone. And I was sorry. I always wanted you to go to camp. Diabetes.
Although
you would not go.
Hell no. If you have only not cool kids have diabetes. That's my mindset.
Like I said, I mean, your whole goal in life was just to move on with your life, take care of it. It wasn't like you were embarrassed or wanted to hide it or anything. You just wanted to go on with your life and not have to think about it.
Yeah.
And you thought about it as much as you could think about it, just to take care of yourself. And beyond that, you didn't want to go to camp or anything, but that was the only connection.
Please go to camp, which is really weird now, because now I'm have really got re-engaged with Diabetes Dayton, who puts on a diabetes camp, and I'm all over the executive director. I'm like, how can I be a counselor? How can I come for a week next spring? Like, please immerse me in this camp experience. I never did it as a kid, and I should have, and now I want to go be a part of this camp, because it is like, community is just so important. And I think, like with any tough thing in life, like having people who can connect or share the experiences is just so important. And so, yeah, we didn't have that. We did
not have that. There weren't.
Well, if you, Mom, could give any words of advice to that newly diagnosed parent, or parents who have a kid in college, or parents who have a grown adult a woman who's about to have a baby, or whatever, what's the advice?
The advice that I would give is just hang in there. It will get better. It does get better. That's not to say that you're ever going to feel 100% free of from worry, but it does get better. And I remember going, when I went to buy test strips, or the little pinprick.
Lancets.
Lancets.
Yeah.
I said to the pharmacist, this has got to hurt. And he says, I think that over time they stop really feeling it. They become kind of immune to that little prick. I don't know if that's true, but he helped. It helped me.
Yeah.
And so even if your kid is screaming in the corner, if they're that young, they're not going to remember it.
Right.
They're not going to remember it. And eventually they will not even feel it. Trust me. You'll do it, and then they'll start doing it themselves. And
Yeah.
so
I think that's really great advice. I think you're exactly right. And no, the shots, they really do not hurt. The pinpricks, they really do not hurt. But you know what does hurt? Arguing with the insurance companies. And with that, my friends, I hope you have a really great day.
Sure.
Thank you, Mom, for coming back on. You deserve it.